Hi everyone, Becca here to tell you day 12 of my story. I've been coming on here live every day for 30 days to share my story. I want to show that more vulnerable side, tell that more vulnerable side, to connect with you in that way. You know, a lot of people who are dealing with body shame issues and guilt and weird relationships with food and all of that tend to be really isolated, and because we don't talk about it. So I'm here to talk about it. So if you haven't caught any of the days prior, a large part of my story is dieting and not liking my body, thinking I was too fat, thinking there was something wrong with it, and trying to use diets as a means of fixing it. So this morning I actually went on here, but it was poor quality. The connection was bad because I was driving home from teaching a class. I was way out in Augusta, Missouri. The trees were just striking me. Like, the fall foliage was just ridiculous. Like, it was so beautiful, red, orange, yellows. And I was like, I have to pull over. But what that kind of lit up in me was my relationship with hiking and being outdoors. Growing up, I played outside as a kid, but I wouldn't call myself an outdoorsy person. You know, I liked camping, but hiking was something that I thought was limited to thin people or like really fit people. You know, one of my first experiences was with hiking was with one of my buddies who was a much more intense hiker than I was and am and ever want to be. We were going up this pretty steep incline, and he was just, you know, taking it, hiking, see you later. And I think I was like 10 at the time, like really sucking air, trying to do this hike. And just feeling so embarrassed. Like, I can't keep up with my friend. I'm like loudly trying to recuperate from this incline. I'm so fat. That was the story behind it. It's like, I'm too fat to hike. I'm too fat to hike. I'm too fat to be in these woods. I need to get my breathing pattern back to normal. Like, it was, I established at that time, that specific moment, that hiking was not for me. Swore it off. Every time, you know, people, do you like to be outside? Yeah, I like to be outside, but I don't really hike. Like, that was kind of what I would say, but it was because I didn't want to experience that again. I didn't want to like huff and puff up the mountain again. I didn't want to have that story repeated of like, I'm too fat for this. It was just continuing to solidify the beliefs that I had started believing as a kid. So fast forward, you know, I grew up in St. Louis, moved to Columbia for school, and then immediately moved out to New York City after college graduation and lived there for 6 years. And I didn't quite realize the impact of not having nature in my life until it sort of slowly started to eat at my soul. I realized, like, oh snap, like, I need leaves. I need to be outside. I need to be in the woods. This is not for me. So when I moved back to St. Louis, I made that kind of a priority of like, I'm hiking. This is a thing of mine. Like, I like to be outside. I like to be in the woods. I'm not too fat for this. And sure enough, I'm not. Like, first of all, they have flat trails. They have paved trails. They have just nice, soft ways that you can hike. That's just as much of a hike as like going up a 60% incline. So one, I offer that, but now I hike like the hard trails. I get my ass up and like, I'm doing those steep inclines, a lot of times huffing and puffing, but the story isn't going on. Like, I don't care if people pass me. I don't care if people hear me breathing. I'm going up this hill. I'm not too fat for this. And I love it. Hiking now is one of those things that is like, it brings me so much joy. It grounds me into the earth. It just like reminds me that everything is okay. And I come back. I need it. And so by telling that story of I'm too fat for this, I was cutting that out completely. I was actually really mad at it too. Like, I was like, you proved to me that I'm too fat for you. Like, how dare you? You know, so just the idea of hiking, I was really mad at, and I didn't do it. And so therefore, you know, I just missed out on it. And that is true for a lot of things: bike riding, dancing, yoga, God forbid. Like, I was way too fat for all of those things. So why would I do those? I just cut out all of these different activities in my life, telling the story because this jiggles, or because you get out of breath, or because this happens, like, you're too fat. And in truth, all of those things bring me a ton of joy. I love bike riding. I love dancing. I love yoga. I'm not too fat for any of them. But the story was prohibiting me to really fully engage with the activity. You know, even if I did choose to dance, or even if I did choose to bike ride or do yoga, like, the conversation, like, I was aware of my belly jiggling. I was aware of my belly in the way. I was aware. Like, that story was not ever gone. So now getting to experience those activities with just like, oh yeah, this is a ton of fun. Like, I love shaking my butt on the dance floor. I love doing yoga. I love bike riding. That's like the closest thing to just freedom that you can get. And all of those things I wasn't getting to experience fully because I was in my mindset of, I'm a fat piece of crap. And we tell our stories about ourselves all day, every day. We have stories. They are usually ingrained in us deep, and from childhood, that almost always are not the truth. And I'm not here for it. It's, you know, limiting people in that way is just a disservice to the world, like, really, truly. And so I invite you to just kind of look at your life of like, are there things that I'm not doing because of the story that I'm telling behind it? Am I not doing this because I don't think I'm capable of it? Am I not doing this because I'm nervous someone will see me and laugh at me? Or am I doing this because, you know, like, it can go both ways. So I just invite you to kind of look into those stories that you're telling yourself. And if you want to shift them, there are a lot of different ways that you can do that. You know, anywhere from just receiving a newsletter in your inbox, an online course, to a virtual group, to one-on-one coaching. Like, you have a lot of different options to shift those beliefs, because they're not permanent and they're not the truth. So I invite you to take a look at that. Where can you kind of rewrite your stories and experience life a little bit more fully? There's juice there. I'm going to have to re-show the fall leaves here in Missouri at another time. It's kind of rainy out, but next time I'm outside, I'll do my story there, because I had intended for you guys to see that this morning. That's kind of what sparked the hiking conversation. But wherever you are in this Sunday, or wherever you're watching it, I hope that you are having a fantastic, fantastic day, and go rewrite your stories. Sending all tons of love.